Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. If you're looking for a game where almost all the giants are played on the board, this is the game for you. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am playing as a Typhoon specialist, and my opponent, Krad, is playing as a Rhino specialist. His MMR, I think, is in the low 1900s, and I am just above 1900 at the moment. So right off the bat, I am up against Stormcallers with my Mustangs and Marksmen. This is a very tough situation when you're fighting into Stormcallers. I think probably the biggest challenge you're going to face into this kind of comp is arc lights. Now, fortunately, my opponent didn't actually go with arc lights. I was able to form sort of a chaff stream with the crawlers leading the way and the Mustangs kind of following up, and then another crawlers coming in for the finisher. Unfortunately, the crawlers are pushing my Mustang forward, so they are getting absolutely murdered by those Stormcallers. The good thing, though, my two Mustangs now all the way. You see this guy's Mustang right here? He was like, no, don't take me. But no, fortunately, they were pushed all the way in front of the enemy and was able to give some damage to that tower. So I guess it was a good thing after all. And I never thought I would have won the first round, but here we are, winning Stormcaller rounds with Mustangs and Marksmen. All right. We're looking to round 2 here. Round 2 is going to be a reinforcement card. Lots of interesting stuff, but I think I'm going to have to go with redeployment. It just gives you so much flexibility, especially into an aggro board, which I am currently positioning myself to be. I am a Typhoon specialist, which means by turn 3, I will get the Typhoon, and I'm hoping to build the Typhoon boat aggro. And in order for me to get there, I need to create as much problems as I can in the first 3 rounds. And that's going to be in wasps. So I took the wasp, I put it at the front. I know he doesn't have anti-air on that other side, except that single squad of fans. So I added another crawler in the backside there to draw away those fans, allowing the wasp to do the damage to those Stormcallers and eventually to that tower. At the front here, my opponent did decide to pick up 2 arc lights, and as you can see, it completely changes the outcome of the battle. My crawlers and my Mustangs are no longer effective, and my marksmen are now shooting at fangs. Not great. However, I did get the tower, which means one of my marksmen is able to pick up the arc light, and hopefully under tower debuff, my wasp can clear out those fangs as well. All right, swinging over. I think we're going to start off with the Stormcallers and then turn around and try to get those towers. Let's see if I can get all of this done before the debuff, and I guess not. So my wasps are going to get destroyed, and a single wasp is just chipping away at that tower. Almost. Just a little too short. Round 3, we got a unit drop. Sandworm is offered. Sandworm is excellent into an aggro board, and that is what I'm going to take. For my opponent, he can always take Melting Point, but the only reason to take Melting Point is in anticipation of the Sandworm. Right now, I think the Sledgehammer would have been a much better position. They're great at tanking against Mustangs. They can deal with the chaff reasonably well. And my opponent's board already has Stormcallers, which can deal with giants reasonably well as well. So the Sandworm is going down, and with the level 1 Typhoon, I'm going to put it on the flank to draw some aggro from this arc light. All right, Sandworm is being a little undecided. I think it's best to go on the right, even though at the time I wasn't sure where he's going to put his sledgehammers. I know for a fact that he's going to spawn to air on the other side, possibly with a squad of fans. So I didn't want to test that one just yet. Instead, I want to clash into his army head on with my big unit, hoping that he didn't get the Melting Point. All right, one of my wasps got leveled, and the other wasp is being summoned. And now we're looking into sort of a pseudo warm wasp comp with Mustang support, marksman, and a big Typhoon, all the way on the side playing big bait. Let's see how it works. All right, the worm's going to pop out and it's going to two-shot these sledgehammers with the help of some of these wasps, possibly one-shot as well. And right now, there's nothing between me and the tower, so my wasps are moving forward. We're going to get tower, and this is going to be a huge round here. However, my opponent does have quite a few fangs, so while I may be able to win this round with the big sandworm, I am going to have some problems getting most of my wasp army out of this. Yeah, that is a firing line of fangs. My wasps are just getting murdered up there. Fortunately, I do have a sandworm, so hopefully the sandworm is going to tank a few shots for me. The tower was leveled in anticipation to some sort of flank that I simply do not have time to deal with, and is paying off in a big way. Alright, round 4. We are looking at the reinforcement cards. Underground, it just continues my aggro. I think improved steel balls could be very interesting, but it's going to be underground for both of us. My opponent, being a rhino specialist, gets the blue rhino on this round, which means I have to play chicken with the rhino and guessing where that rhino is going to be. Now, last round, he is aware that I have level 2 tower, which means he might want to get to my tower very quickly with the rhino. And with the underground, I'm a little concerned. I'm not too worried about this level 2 tower. I'm concerned on the other side, and I don't yet want to level up that tower. Well, what do? Here's a solution. We already had the Typhoons in the flanks, and there's a very good chance that my opponent is going to answer that threat. Why don't we take the Typhoon out of the fire and into a defensive position against the underground threat? Sounds like a good plan. All right. Cheeky missile on the left here to get rid of those fans in case the rhino isn't there. That allows faster access into the tower. Everything is ready to go. Let's get this round going. Alright, the blue rhino got instantly deleted by my sandworm and wasp combo. Unfortunately, the missile did get wasted on the rhino, which means now we got our sandworm closing in onto the tower. Timing is just not great. The stream of fans continue to pour through, which means my wasps are just not able to get to the tower quick enough. However, my marksmen are just getting things done at the front here, dealing with the level 1 fortress from my opponent. I think the sandworm should be able to mop up fairly easily here. It's just against a few stormcallers, and here we go. Alright, we got tower once again. Round 5. Super heavy armor is a great card for a giant, and it looks like it's going to be a giant battle. Now, when you're fighting a giant battle, fortress tend to win out against sandworm, and he does run launcher overload, which means my sandworm is going to have quite a bit of competition into that fortress. I have a few options. I can take armor, which makes my sandworm super tanky and able to survive quite a bit longer. I could take Sudden Strike, which makes my sandworm deal a little bit more damage upon its first strike. Sudden Strike is probably not a great option since we are looking at a giant versus giant fight, so I will prefer longevity over that alpha strike damage, which will not kill one fortress. So it's going to be armor for the sandworm, giving them a little bit more staying power. And for the wasp, it's going to be a 50 supply jump drive. Super cheap, super useful. Where are we going to jump these wasps to? Well, I don't know. We'll see. The fortress already has anti-air barrage, which means those wasps will have to move fast if they want to survive. But for now, I think we're going to try to sneak in from the middle into the right. Now, I didn't see this fortress during my deployment. It wasn't there, but it was just a great move, keeping all of your airspace covered with anti-air barrages so that there's no way for my wasp to get in. Alright, wasp coming in. Dodge the first volley. Dodge the second volley. Oh, the third one is coming in though. Here comes the third volley, killing half of my squad. The wasp is still doing work, and here's the fourth volley, sealing the deal. The sandworm are still doing work here. We're about to get to that level 1 fortress on the side, and we're about to get tower. Things are looking okay for my side of the board here. And we still have Typhoon, which is an excellent chaff clear, and they're super tanky as well. Anti-missile device is going to survive. And we're going to start moving the unit over to the other side. Typhoon leading the way here, cleaning out chaff, tanking shots from that fort. Level 2 marksman following behind, getting the damage done, and here comes the worm. 2 sandworms. Are they enough? But right now they're just calling fans and stormcallers, so just not what they're meant to do. And unfortunately, I no longer have any chaff clear, but the good thing is the positioning of my marksman would mean that I get to save my anti-missile device. I'll take that. Ooh, big unit drop here. I picked the boats instantly because I was going to go with Typhoon boat carry anyways. For my opponent, I think a melting point makes sense, but we'll see. Maybe he was interested in the boats as well. Boats are a serious anti-ground giant, especially with chain gun. Melting point is more of a safety anti-unit, but when you have worms, you always have a possibility of going even more worms, which means if you have melting point, the worms can just keep popping in and out. One of the ways that I've seen people play is kind of this worm blender. You put about 4 worms in a line and you just watch them go. It could be very dangerous, which is why my opponent probably thought the boats might be the safer option. For me, I also went with the boats. I think this round here, don't exactly have... Oh, there it is. Here's the cash infusion. I'm selling one of these wasps here because I didn't think the wasp will survive the AA barrage anyways. And instead getting chain gun on the boats. Chain gun will help dealing with these level 2 forts. And we will hopefully get to tower. So let's see how it goes. Alright, repositioning my Typhoon to the front here. Now is helping support with the chaff clear. Oil goes down for my opponent. Stopping some of my units from getting further. Mostly my chaff. But that's okay. The worms coming in. The worms getting those sledgies. And now it's level 2 worms into level 2 fortresses. One of my boats already went down due to the AA barrages, which is terrible. But these 2 worms though, super tanky, and one is already making a move to the tower. Gonna pop out. It's gonna take some stormcallers first, and it's gonna turn to the tower. And here goes the tower. And now we're gonna move all the way to the left-hand side. Do I have enough to deal 2 giant forts? Ooh, the boat went down. We still have 2 worms though, and 2 blue snipers. Maybe there's hope. We still have blue Mustangs dealing with the chaff clear. Oh, just barely one of the worm went down. The other one is almost dead. However, I should have victory. EM, the cheap EM, is being picked up by my opponent. Right now, all 4 of my giants are perfectly in that EM range. I wanted to move my boats out of the way into the other side, so I got another set of Typhoon, some chaff in front, and we got 2 boats ready to go. And there's going to be a third one, right? Good things comes in threes. So we're going to have 3 boats and a dream into the tower. Keep in mind, these are level 2 forts, which means they are super tanky, and their shield actually are worth 80,000 HP. So even with chain gun from 3 boats, which deals 11,000 HP each, with a level 2 dealing 22, it's going to take quite a few shots for me to just even break the shield. Later on, I will need to also take the forts down, which are now averaging 104,000 HP each, while my boats are just in a flimsy 16,000. So boats is one of the weakest giants, well actually the weakest giant in terms of HP, but it makes up for it with its mobility and the sheer damage output. So as long as I can keep my boats safe, I should be able to get tower. Unfortunately, these fans are just doing so much tanking, getting all the shots from the fire, and finally was able to get tower with a sandworm still alive. And that sandworm needs to do a lot of work. And I have one more hit on a fort. No. So we still got 2 level 4 left over, but fortunately, there's not going to be much AA left except those anti-air barrages. So with another tower down, I think we got this round in the bag. Getting my opponent down to just 900 HP. Another unit drop. I'm going to take the Wraith here. I am missing a bit of chaff clear on the ground. I would love to put more Phoenixes, but the Typhoons will not survive the constant punching from these forts. So instead, it's just going to be air chaff clear in the form of Wraiths. Later on, I can take fuel maintenance on this Wraith if I ever need to draw fire from these AA barrages. So it's a very good short-term and long-term investment. My opponent decided to go on the ground here at the corner, hoping that I don't have enough chaff clear and delaying my units here, and also double missile, triple missile, quadruple missile, and 5 missile. I think he really just want to get rid of my Typhoon. And it makes sense, right? Once he gets rid of my Typhoon, then it has no chaff clear, but fortunately the missile did land on one of my boats, and it's my level 1 boat, so it's not too bad. My Wraith, my boats are just gonna try to get their way through these 3 giants. Right now, I am suffering from just a lack of damage, but Chain Gun is now working. This guy is level 3, which is 33,000 damage for every shot from the Chain Gun. But there's just so much chaff on his side of the board, and things are just not getting through. Man, I need to get those Wraith leveled and also take field maintenance. The A barrage just continues to hit, and I'll keep in mind though, these missiles do not scale with the level, which means they will always deal 900 damage for those missiles. However, it doesn't matter because they're firing every 10 seconds, so even a level 3 Overlord cannot withstand this sort of constant bombardment and dies to 1,000 cuts essentially. Javelin, another great tech. Javelin is not very useful for me because most of these forts are level 2 and above, which means I cannot kill this fort. But it is going to be great for my opponent. The worms are getting jabbed, but they are getting sold as well. I feel like the worms are simply not doing enough when you're running them into launcher overload fortresses. So instead, it's going to be jump drive boats, and we're going to try to find ourselves a nice little entryway into one of the towers. My opponent spares no expense when it comes to missiles because he really doesn't want my crawlers to get in the way. So for the first trick, we're going to try to hit the left tower. There's already a melting point waiting, but I think we can still get it. The Wraith got the field maintenance, so now they should be able to survive quite a bit longer against those AA missiles. I am losing a ton of chaff at the front here. Ooh, those melting points are going to do God's work. They are going to lock onto the boats. 2 boats went down right away, but I still got 2 level 3 boats. One of them is able to move to the side here. Ooh, goes down, and the melting point continues to work on the rest of the boats. The fans on the side just tank so many shots from my boat. Definitely needs more chaff clear. Unfortunately, my boat is moving away from this melting point, so almost getting my boat, and now I'm able to get his unit. But unfortunately, there's not enough firepower to take down this melting point, so it's going to be another big round for my opponent. Is my opponent's board stabilizing? We'll see. I mean, these melting points are darn good for what they do. Wow, huge rounds, bringing my HP much closer to where I like to be. Another EM Blast is offered, and if you look at my opponent's side, he's got EM Blast for the small one, EM Blast for the large one, Sticky Oil Bomb. That's just a whole lot of units. So all these abilities are going to disable most of my technology, and I need to make sure that I have an answer for that. Well, first thing first, I think it's time to bring out my own melting points, primarily just for shield breaks. These fortresses, especially level 3 fortress, with 120,000 in shield, that we cannot allow. So we're going to put those down. A shield here purely to protect ourselves from the EM barrage. And then this huge EM barrage, I think my opponent is thinking that I'm going to put my boats here jumping to the other tower. But instead, I split my boats on both sides because I was afraid of getting EM'd. Alright, let the battle commence. A great EM, unfortunately. My melting point on the left are still working. On the right, though, the EM did get quite a few of my units, but the problem with my opponent's side is he doesn't have a lot of chaff clear, which means my boats are connecting and getting the job done on this level 3 or level 4 fortress. Really good stuff. Alright, here comes the army of fangs here. We still got 2 big boats here, one shotting with a chain gun and the other one as well. And we're going to get to tower, which means my melting point will start to work. And now we already have the chaff cleared, which means all I left to do is for my melting point to finish the job. This looks like it's going to be GG. Extremely well played by my opponent here. I think this game could have gone either way, depends on where those abilities land. And this is one thing I love about jump drive boats. It really tests the experience of both players to anticipate where the units are going to be. It's a game of cat and mouse, and I love every single second of it. So thank you for watching this video. If you like to see more games like this one, here's another one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.